The galaxy was vast and full of secrets, but no one believed that humanity could hide something so great. For centuries, humans were seen as weak, fragile creatures of Earth. They were small in number compared to the empires of the stars. The Arketh Dominion, the Vayari Collective, and even the Great Kraylan Hegemony often spoke of humans with pity. They thought of Earth as nothing but a simple world, a green and blue dot circling an ordinary star. Yet, there were whispers. Quiet rumors spread across trade stations and border worlds. Captains told stories of strange human convoys disappearing into uncharted sectors, never to return. There were reports of massive energy spikes hidden deep in remote systems. But every time someone tried to investigate, they found nothing but silence, as if space itself swallowed the truth. On the galactic stage, humanity played the role of peacekeepers and diplomats. They offered trade, shared science, and smiled when others mocked them. To the galaxy, it seemed that humans had chosen survival over power. But beneath this mask, humanity carried a secret so great that the galaxy was not ready to face it. The story began on the Outer Rim, where a small research vessel of the Kraylan drifted too close to human space. The crew detected something impossible, an object the size of a small moon moving at sublight speed, covered in strange metal plating. At first, they thought it was an asteroid. But when they scanned it, the readings made no sense. Its surface was layered with alloys that did not match any known empire's technology. At its heart, there was a power source burning brighter than 100 suns. The Kraylan commander panicked. He knew this was no asteroid. It was built, crafted by hands and minds. And then, for a moment, the massive structure turned. A faint glow spread across its hull, and hidden cannons the size of cities slowly shifted into place. It was a warship. Not just a warship, something far beyond the scale anyone had imagined. The commander gave the order to retreat, but it was already too late. A single pulse of energy flickered across the void, silent and cold. In seconds, the Kraylan vessel was gone, reduced to ash in the dark. No distress signal escaped. No warning reached their empire. Humanity's hidden fleet remained unseen, moving in shadows, waiting. For Earth itself, life was simple. People worked, laughed, and lived their normal lives. But far above their heads, deep in the void, the fleet was watching. These ships were not built for show. They were not built for pride. They were humanity's last shield, forged in silence after centuries of fear. Long ago, when humanity first reached the stars, they saw the cruelty of the galaxy. They saw empires that crushed weaker worlds, civilizations erased for resources, and countless species chained by stronger powers. Humanity had learned one truth: survival required preparation. So, in hidden systems beyond any map, they began building. The project was known only by whispers among the highest councils of Earth. Entire planets were turned into shipyards. Moons were hollowed to forge reactors. Asteroids were carved into weapons. Generations worked and died in silence to complete the vision. While the galaxy saw humanity as harmless, the hidden fleet grew, sleeping giants waiting for the day they would be needed. And now, that day was drawing close. Admiral Reeve stood at the observation deck of the Titan-class warship Helios. The vessel stretched thousands of kilometers long, its surface alive with faint lights and moving shadows of drones. Before him, the fleet floated like silent mountains, planet-sized war machines drifting in the void. His eyes narrowed as he read the latest reports. Alien scouts were getting too close, too curious. The Kraylan were already suspicious. It would not be long before the secret broke. "Once the galaxy learns," Reeve said softly, his voice echoing in the vast command chamber, "they will come for us. All of them. And they will learn why humanity was never weak." His officers stood silent. None dared to speak. They all knew the weight of what was hidden here. Billions of lives across Earth and its colonies depended on this secret fleet. And once revealed, there would be no turning back. Far away, in the core worlds of the galaxy, rumors had begun again. Merchants whispered of missing ships. Patrols reported strange sensor ghosts. The Dominion sent spies. The Collective sent probes. None returned. Fear was spreading, though no one yet knew its source. But deep inside, humanity knew. The storm was coming. And when it arrived, the galaxy would face a truth it had never expected: fragile humanity was not fragile at all. Behind their quiet smiles and gentle words, they had forged monsters of metal, sleeping gods of war. The galaxy thought humans were prey. Soon, they would learn the hunters had always been waiting. The Kraylan did not know what had destroyed their vessel, but their empire felt the loss. Weeks passed, and no word came from the research ship. At first, they thought it was a malfunction or pirates. Then, quiet signals reached their listening posts. Strange bursts of energy, massive and unnatural, flickered near the borders of human space. The Kraylan High Council gathered in secret. They did not trust humans, but they never feared them either. Now, for the first time, they began to wonder if something dangerous was hidden beneath Earth's friendly mask. Meanwhile, the humans carried on as if nothing had changed. Trade ships moved between colonies. Diplomats smiled at galactic meetings. Scientists shared knowledge with alien scholars. It was all part of the act. But behind the curtain, humanity's hidden fleet stirred. Admiral Reeve walked the long halls of the Alios. His boots echoed against black steel as he studied the young officers gathered for training. Most were barely out of the academies, raised in secret colonies where loyalty was absolute. They had never seen the open galaxy. To them, the fleet was the whole universe, and their mission was sacred. One of the cadets stepped forward nervously. "Admiral, if the aliens find us, do we strike first?" Reeves' gaze was sharp, his expression unreadable. "No. Humanity does not start wars. But we finish them." The cadet lowered his head, his face pale. Reeves' voice softened then, but the steel never left his tone. "Remember this. The galaxy believes we are weak. That belief is our weapon. If they do not fear us yet, let them laugh. Because when the truth comes, it will break them." Outside the massive ship, the fleet remained cloaked in silence. Thousands of drones drifted across the void, invisible eyes watching the galaxy. Each warship was a fortress the size of continents, armed with cannons that could split stars. They waited, patient as predators in tall grass. Far away, on Earth, life seemed calm. Families enjoyed the warmth of the sun. Children played in city parks. But hidden deep under mountains and oceans were the command bunkers where leaders received reports from Admiral Reeve. They knew the truth. They knew the day would come when Earth's mask would shatter. That day crept closer when the Vayari Collective sent a diplomatic mission. A sleek silver ship entered human space, requesting peaceful talks. On the surface, it seemed innocent, but everyone knew the Vayari were not seekers of peace. They were spies. Their ship carried long-range scanners, hunting for what humans tried to hide. Admiral Reeve allowed them to enter, but every step of their journey was monitored. On the deck of the Alios, officers tracked the Vayari vessel scans. The alien ship probed asteroid belts, studied magnetic fields, and tried to pierce the shadows of cloaked regions. Each attempt failed. They saw nothing but empty stars. But then something unexpected happened. The Vayari ship caught a glimpse of a shadow, too large, too perfect to be natural. A planet-sized shape drifted in the dark, and for a second, their sensors screamed warnings. Then the shadow was gone, as if it had never existed. The Vayari captain's heart raced. He had seen enough. His report would confirm the worst suspicion: humanity was hiding something impossible. On the Alios, Admiral Reeve read the intercepted message before it could leave human space. The report burned across the screen, clear and undeniable. If the Vayari succeeded in sending this to their collective, the galaxy would know the truth. Reeve stood in silence for a long moment. Around him, his officers waited. Then his voice rang like iron. "Destroy their ship. No witnesses." The order was carried out without hesitation. From the depths of the void, a hidden cannon flared once. The Vayari vessel vanished in an instant, erased from existence. No distress signal escaped. No one outside humanity's fleet would ever know what happened. But in the shadows, Reeve felt the weight of his decision. Every alien vessel destroyed only bought them time. Secrets could not stay hidden forever. Back in the core worlds, the galaxy began to sense the pattern. Kraylan ships disappearing. Vayari missions never returning. Rumors spread like fire through markets and military outposts. Some said it was pirates. Others claimed it was a new weapon. But the oldest captains whispered a different story: that humanity, the quiet species of Earth, was hiding monsters. On Earth, a child looked up at the stars, pointing with wonder. To him, they were just bright lights in the sky. He did not know that in those stars, the fate of his world was being decided. Admiral Reeve watched the same stars from the observation deck of the Helios. His reflection stared back at him from the glass, hard and unyielding. He knew what was coming. The galaxy would not stay blind forever. And when the storm arrived, humanity would either rise as the strongest power the stars had ever seen, or fall and vanish forever. The silence before the storm grew heavier with each passing day. The silence did not last. In the halls of the Galactic Council, tension grew. The Kraylan were angry. The Vayari were restless. Ships and crews kept vanishing near human borders, and no one had answers. At first, the Council dismissed it as bad luck, pirates, or space storms. But now the losses were too many to ignore. The Kraylan ambassador stood tall in the great chamber, his scaled face twisted in anger. Humans hide something. They smile, but their space eats our ships. How long will this council ignore the truth? The Vayari ambassador nodded sharply, his silver skin glowing under the chamber lights. My people demand answers. If the humans are not guilty, then let them open their systems to inspection. Whispers filled the chamber. Other empires listened, their curiosity growing. For centuries, humanity had seemed harmless. But now, the idea of humans hiding something so vast unsettled them. The human ambassador, a calm woman named Elara Voss, rose to speak. Her voice was gentle, steady, yet carried through the chamber with unusual weight. We grieve for your losses. We offer help in your search. But to accuse us without proof, this is not justice. Humanity wants peace. Her words were reasonable, her expression sincere. Yet the suspicion did not fade. Outside the council, fleets prepared. Scouts were sent. Every eye turned toward the quiet borders of human space. Back in the hidden regions, Admiral Reeve read the reports with cold focus. The storm he had warned about was no longer distant, it was at the edge of their gates. The council would not stop. Soon, alien fleets would arrive to search, to scan, to uncover what humanity had built. On the Helios, he met with his senior captains. They gathered in the vast command hall, where holograms of the fleet glowed like stars around them. The ships were lined in formation, massive and silent. We cannot hide forever, one captain said. His voice was low, but the truth in it cut deep. Reeve's eyes narrowed. No. But the longer we hide, the stronger we become. Every day we buy is another day our children live free. Remember this. Still, he knew it would not be enough. The galaxy's suspicion was now too sharp. They would come in force. And when they did, the secret would no longer be a secret. Far across the stars, a Kraylan strike group entered the shadows of human territory. 5 warships moved slowly, scanning every asteroid and dark corner. Their commander, High Captain Drakos, believed he would be the one to expose humanity's lies. At first, they found nothing. Empty void. Broken rocks. Silent signals. But then their scanners screamed, an energy spike so massive it shook their systems. They turned toward it and saw something that froze them in terror. A shadow moved in the dark. It was not a planet. It was not a star. It was a machine, a fortress of impossible size. Its surface was black steel, stretching endlessly, its edges glowing faintly with power. Weapons larger than mountains turned slowly, locking onto the Kraylan fleet. Drakos tried to order a retreat, but before the words left his mouth, the void lit up. A single cannon fired, and the lead ship vanished in a burst of light. The rest scattered in panic. Another beam swept across space, cutting through shields like paper. In moments, the mighty strike group was nothing but burning debris. From the bridge of the Helios, Admiral Reeve watched the destruction unfold. He did not smile. He did not celebrate. His eyes were cold as stone. They forced our hand, he said quietly. Now the rumors will grow. And they did. Survivors were few, but word spread like fire. Some claimed they had seen a moving planet. Others swore it was a god of war, forged by human hands. The council demanded answers again, louder this time. The galaxy trembled with fear and suspicion. On Earth, life went on as normal. Children went to school, traders filled the markets, lovers walked under the night sky. They had no idea that across the stars, their world was the center of growing fear. But in the command halls beneath Earth's mountains, leaders gathered. Ilara Voss spoke to them through secure channels. The council grows restless. They will not wait much longer. If we cannot keep the secret, we must decide whether to reveal it on our terms, or let them discover it in chaos. Admiral Reeves' voice came through, steady and unshaken. Reveal nothing. The longer they guess, the more they fear. When the time comes, humanity will speak not with words, but with fire. And so, the hidden fleet waited, silent giants among the stars. The galaxy drew closer, step by step, blind to the full truth. But deep inside every warship, engines pulsed like beating hearts, ready to wake. The storm was almost here. And when it arrived, the galaxy would finally see what humanity had become. The galaxy was no longer calm. Fear spread like a shadow through every empire. Whispers of human war machines grew louder in the trade lanes, in the council halls, in the mess halls of alien fleets. Some called them myths. Others swore they were real. No one could agree, but everyone was afraid. The Kraylan wanted revenge for their lost ships. The Vayari demanded open investigation. The Arketh Dominion, proud and cruel, prepared for war. To them, the very idea of a hidden human fleet was an insult. Humanity was supposed to be weak, small, harmless. If the rumors were true, it meant the galaxy had been fooled for centuries. The council called another emergency session. Ambassadors filled the great chamber, their voices rising in anger. If humanity has nothing to hide, the Vayari said, then let us see their worlds. Let us search their skies. Ilara Voss stood once again in defense of her people. Her calm voice carried across the chamber. We will not allow foreign fleets inside our home. Humanity will not be treated like criminals. Her words only deepened suspicion. The council left without agreement. Outside, war preparations began. Back in the hidden systems, Admiral Reeve knew time was running out. He stood in the command hall of the Alios, surrounded by glowing maps of alien fleets moving closer to human borders. The galaxy was not waiting for truth anymore. They would invade, and they would uncover the secret. Reeve's officers argued in hushed voices. Some wanted to strike first, to reveal the fleet in one great display of power. Others urged patience, to wait until the aliens made the first move. Reeve listened in silence before speaking. His voice was iron. If we reveal too soon, the galaxy will unite against us. But if they strike first, they will scatter. They will fight each other for control. That is when we show them the truth. Far across the stars, alien fleets began to gather. The Kraylan assembled battleships near the rim. The Vayari sent long-range probes, cloaked and silent. Even the Dominion moved heavy carriers toward human space. The storm was not far, it was at the door. On Earth, the people still lived in peace, unaware of the danger. Children played in the streets. Farmers harvested crops. Workers filled the cities with the rhythm of normal life. But deep underground, in bunkers of steel and stone, the leaders watched with fear. Reports from Admiral Reeve came daily, each one darker than the last. One night, in the council bunker beneath the Alps, the leaders met in silence. Screens glowed with maps of fleets moving closer. An old general spoke first. We cannot hide much longer. If they come in force, our worlds will burn unless the fleet awakens. A scientist leaned forward, her voice sharp. Awakening the fleet means revealing everything. Once the galaxy knows, there will be no going back. Every empire will turn against us. Ilara Voss looked at them all, her eyes hard. If we reveal the fleet, we must control the story. We show them what we want them to see. Enough to make them fear us, but not enough to know our true power. Far away, in the darkness of space, another spark of danger appeared. A Dominion scouting fleet crossed into human territory. 20 warships strong, they moved like predators, their sensors burning through the void. Unlike others, they did not come to observe. They came to conquer. The Alios detected them first. Reeve stood at the window, watching their advance. His officers waited for the order. To strike, or to stay hidden. For a long moment, Silence filled the command hall. Then Reeves' voice came, calm and final. "Let them see us." The cloaks of the hidden fleet peeled away. One by one, shadows turned to giants of steel. The Dominion ships froze in shock as the darkness lifted, revealing not one, not 10, but hundreds of warships the size of continents. For a moment, the galaxy seemed to stop. The Dominion fleet tried to retreat, but the void itself had closed around them. The war machines of Earth moved like slow gods, their weapons locking in silence. Reeve raised his hand. "Fire once. Let them carry the message." A single beam of energy cut across the stars. One Dominion ship exploded, its fragments burning like meteors. The rest fled in terror, their distress calls echoing across the galaxy. The secret was broken. News of the hidden fleet spread faster than light. Every empire heard the screams of the Dominion survivors. Every council chamber shook with fear. Humanity's mask had fallen, and the galaxy now saw what lay beneath: planet-sized warships, forged in silence, waiting for war. On Earth, the people learned the truth. The news flashed across every screen, every city, every colony. At first, there was fear. Then, slowly, pride. Humanity had not been weak. They had not been prey. They had been preparing all along. In the command hall of the Alios, Admiral Reeves stood among his officers, the weight of centuries now heavy on his shoulders. "The galaxy knows," he said. "Now the real war begins." The storm had arrived. The galaxy could no longer pretend. The secret was out. Humanity's hidden fleet was real, and it was beyond anything the stars had ever seen. The survivors of the Dominion attack carried the story across space, their voices filled with terror. They spoke of ships larger than moons, of cannons that could burn through whole fleets in seconds. The news spread like fire. In the Grand Council, chaos ruled. Ambassadors shouted over one another. The Kraylan demanded immediate war. The Vayari urged caution, though their fear was clear. The Dominion, humiliated and furious, wanted nothing less than humanity's destruction. Even neutral empires, who had no stake before, now feared what Earth was hiding. "Do you not see?" the Dominion ambassador roared. "If humanity holds such weapons, none of us are safe. Today they hide behind silence, tomorrow they rule us all." Others nodded, afraid to agree but more afraid to disagree. The balance of power had shattered. Humanity, once mocked, now stood as the greatest threat in the galaxy. Back in the hidden systems, Admiral Reeve watched the storm unfold. Reports flooded in, fleets gathering, alliances forming, scouts patrolling the borders. The galaxy was uniting, and their target was Earth. Reeve stood at the center of the command hall, his officers gathered in tense silence. "The mask is gone," he said. "The time for shadows is over. Now we fight in the light." The officers nodded, though fear showed in their eyes. They had trained for this day all their lives, but none knew how the galaxy would respond. Billions of enemies were preparing for war. Even with the fleet, survival was not certain. On Earth, panic spread at first. People filled the streets, asking if war would come, if alien fleets would descend from the sky. But the truth also brought pride. For the first time, humanity saw themselves not as prey, but as hunters. The hidden fleet was their shield, their weapon, their hope. Children watched the giant warships appear on their screens with wide eyes. Workers spoke with pride of the generations who had built them in secret. Farmers in the fields lifted their gaze to the stars, knowing their harvests were safe behind walls of steel. Still, fear lingered. Everyone knew the galaxy would not forgive such a deception. The first response came quickly. A massive alliance fleet entered human space. Hundreds of ships from different empires, banners of many colors flying together. For the first time in centuries, enemies stood side by side, united by fear of one species. Their mission was simple: to destroy humanity's fleet before it grew any stronger. Admiral Reeve stood on the bridge of the Alios, watching the enemy formation appear on the edges of their sensors. His officers waited for orders, their faces pale in the dim light. The fleet behind him stirred, engines burning like the hearts of stars. "They come in numbers," one officer whispered. "More than we have ever faced." Reeves' voice cut through the fear. "Numbers do not win wars. Resolve does." The Alliance fleet advanced, weapons charged. Messages filled the channels, demands for surrender, for humanity to dismantle their war machines. Reeve gave no answer. He simply raised his hand, and the order was given. The hidden fleet moved. Giants of steel turned slowly, their cannons glowing. The void lit up as the first volley fired. Beams of energy cut through the darkness, tearing into the Alliance fleet. Dozens of ships vanished in moments, explosions painting the stars in fire. But the Alliance did not break. They returned fire, their combined strength shaking the shields of even the mighty human vessels. Explosions ripped across the void, the clash of titans shaking the very fabric of space. On Earth, the people watched in silence as the battle was broadcast through secure channels. They saw their defenders, the war machines that had been hidden for centuries, now standing against the fury of the galaxy. Hours passed. The void burned with wreckage. The Alliance fleet was strong, but humanity's fleet was stronger. Slowly, steadily, the tide turned. One by one, alien ships fell, until the survivors fled back into the darkness. Victory was humanity's. But it was not without cost. Several of the great ships were damaged, their surfaces torn and bleeding light. Thousands of human lives were lost in the battle. And Admiral Reeve knew the war had only begun. In the council halls of alien empires, fear turned to rage. The Alliance had failed, but more fleets would follow. The galaxy would not stop. They would come again, in greater numbers, with greater fury. On the Alios, Reeve stood among the silent officers. His voice was calm, though heavy with the weight of what lay ahead. The galaxy will not forgive us. They will not stop. But let them come. We are ready. The fleet drifted in the shadows, their weapons cooling, their engines glowing like embers. Around them, the wreckage of the enemy burned slowly, silent reminders of the storm still to come. The war for humanity's survival had begun. And the galaxy would learn, battle by battle, that Earth was no easy prey. The war spread like wildfire. After the first great battle, the galaxy knew humanity would not fall easily. But instead of fear turning to caution, it became rage. Every empire poured ships into the war. Fleets that once fought each other now stood side by side. For the first time in history, the galaxy was united against Earth. In the hidden systems, Admiral Reeve watched as reports arrived from every front. Human colonies near the edge of space were under attack. Trade routes were cut. Alien warships moved like storms, striking with fire and steel. The galaxy thought sheer numbers would break humanity. But the hidden fleet did not scatter. They fought back with precision, with patience, with cold resolve. Giant warships moved through the void like hunters, striking enemy fleets and vanishing again into the darkness. For every human ship lost, 10 alien ships fell. Still, the cost was heavy. Planets burned. Outposts were lost. Civilians fled from the edge worlds to the safety of Earth and the core colonies. Humanity was strong, but the galaxy was endless, and the war stretched across stars without end. On the Alios, Reeve stood before his captains, their faces weary, their eyes shadowed by loss. "We cannot defend everywhere," he said. "If we try, we will be stretched thin, and the galaxy will crush us. We must choose our battles. Strike where it hurts most. Make them bleed for every step they take." The captains agreed, though silence followed. They all knew what it meant. Some colonies would be left undefended. Some people would die. The burden weighed heavy, but Reeve carried it without flinching. In the council chambers of the enemy, frustration grew. Victory was promised, but victory did not come. Entire fleets vanished in ambushes. Whole systems were left in ruins after a single strike from humanity's war machines. The council argued endlessly, each empire blaming the other for failures. The unity that once seemed unbreakable began to crack. The Dominion demanded harsher attacks. The Vayari wanted caution. The Kraylan whispered that perhaps peace should be considered. Fear turned allies into rivals, even as the war raged on. Meanwhile, on Earth, the truth of the war reached the people. They saw the names of lost colonies, the faces of soldiers who would never return. Fear mixed with anger, but also with pride. Humanity had been underestimated, mocked, dismissed. Now, in the fires of war, they stood as equals, no, as greater. Children spoke of becoming fleet officers. Workers volunteered to join the war effort. Entire industries turned into forges for weapons and ships. Earth itself became a world at war, but one united in purpose. Far from the core, a battle unfolded that would be remembered for centuries. An alliance fleet of 300 ships surrounded a human colony on the edge of the rim. Their goal was clear: crush the defenders and use the colony as a warning to the rest of Earth's people. But they did not know the Alios was waiting. Admiral Reeves' ship emerged from the dark, followed by titans of steel. The hidden fleet struck with fury. Beams of energy cut through the night. Entire enemy formations burned in moments. The colony watched from below as the sky itself turned into fire. The people on the ground cried out in awe and terror. To them, the fleet looked like gods of war, fighting above their world. When the battle ended, the sky was littered with burning wreckage. The colony was safe, saved by the secret giants of Earth. The survivors of the enemy fleet fled, carrying once again the same story: humanity's fleet was unstoppable. Back on the Alios, Reeve did not celebrate. He stood at the observation window, staring at the stars. His officers cheered quietly, but he knew the truth. Victory after victory still drained their strength. Every battle won meant resources lost, lives gone, ships damaged. The galaxy had more to throw at them. Humanity could not win by force alone. "We must change the war," Reeve said at last. "We cannot only fight. We must make them fear so deeply that they no longer dare to fight at all." His words carried across the hall like thunder. The captains looked at him, unsure, but none argued. They knew what he meant. The fleet's power was not just in weapons, it was in legend, in fear, in the shadows of what the galaxy believed humanity had built. From that moment, the strategy shifted. No longer simple defense, no longer simple strikes. Humanity would use terror itself as a weapon. Fleets would vanish in silence. Colonies of the enemy would find their skies darkened by giants of steel before a single shot was fired. And sometimes, no shots would be fired at all, only silence, only shadows, only the memory of a power too great to face. Across the stars, fear grew faster than fire. And in that fear, humanity saw its chance. The war was far from over. The galaxy had not yet broken. But cracks had begun to spread. And Admiral Reeve was ready to break them wide open. The war had burned across the stars for years. Entire fleets had risen and fallen. Planets had been scarred, skies filled with fire. Humanity's hidden fleet had faced the united galaxy and endured. But endurance was not enough. Admiral Reeve knew this truth better than anyone. If the war continued forever, numbers would win, and humanity would be drowned by endless enemies. He stood on the bridge of the Alios, the lights of 1,000 screens glowing around him. His captains waited in silence, their faces marked by years of war. The weight of humanity's survival rested on his shoulders. "They fear us," Reeve said quietly. "But fear alone is not enough. Tonight, we end this war." The room was silent, but every officer felt the power of his words. They had fought too long, lost too much. The time had come. Far across the void, the galaxy's greatest fleet assembled. Dominion carriers, Vayari cruisers, Kraylan destroyers, and dozens of other empires, all together, all prepared for one final strike. They gathered in a system near the human border, a force so vast it seemed impossible to defeat. Their plan was simple: crush humanity's fleet in one decisive blow and erase Earth from the stars forever. But they did not know Reeve's plan. In the darkness beyond that system, humanity's fleet was waiting. Titans of steel floated in silence, engines dimmed, weapons cold. They were not hidden this time. They were hunting. Reeve's eyes narrowed as he stared at the enemy formation. Thousands of ships glowed in the distance, weapons ready. The greatest fleet in galactic history, united by fear of one small species. Reeve raised his hand. "Begin." The void erupted. Humanity's war machines came alive. Cannons glowed brighter than suns. Beams of energy split through the darkness, tearing into the enemy ranks. Entire squadrons burned before they could even respond. The galaxy's armada fired back, filling space with fire, but humanity's fleet moved with perfect coordination, every shot precise, every strike devastating. The battle shook the stars. Wreckage scattered across the void. Explosions lit the darkness like storms of fire. Ships collided, broke apart, vanished into light. On Earth, the people watched the battle through secure channels. They held their breath as the sky above their world remained quiet, waiting for news. They knew this was not just another battle. This was the battle. Their future hung in the balance. Hours passed. Both sides bled. Human warships fell, their titanic frames breaking apart. Alien fleets shattered, their formations collapsing under the storm. The void became a graveyard of steel and flame. At the center, the Alios fought like a living god. Its cannons fired again and again, each shot destroying ships by the dozen. But even giants can bleed. Enemy fire tore across its hull, shaking the decks, throwing officers to the floor. Sparks lit the command hall, alarms screaming. Still, Admiral Reeve stood tall, unshaken. "Hold the line," he commanded. "The galaxy is watching." The turning point came not from strength, but from fear. As the battle raged, some alien fleets broke. The Kraylan, seeing their ships burn by the hundreds, began to retreat. The Vayari, their silver hulls cracked and burning, turned their ships away. Panic spread. The unity of the galaxy shattered in the fire. What had begun as one great armada dissolved into chaos. Some empires fled. Others fought each other in confusion. And through it all, humanity's fleet advanced, striking with precision, never breaking, never stopping. At last, silence returned. The stars cleared of fire. Wreckage floated in endless fields of debris. The galaxy's greatest fleet was gone, broken and scattered. Humanity's fleet, blooded but unbroken, remained. On the bridge of the Alios, Admiral Reeve stood among the smoke and sparks. His officers stared at him in silence. The weight of victory was heavy, almost too heavy to bear. "It is done," he said at last. His voice was tired, but steady. "The galaxy came as one, and still we stand. Let this be the lesson they never forget: humanity does not bow. Humanity endures. Humanity fights." The words carried across every channel, broadcast not just to Earth, but to the scattered survivors of the enemy fleets. Across the stars, billions heard them. And in that moment, the legend was sealed. Humanity, once weak, once mocked, was now the power the galaxy feared most. On Earth, the people wept, shouted, cheered. They had faced the storm and survived. The hidden fleet was no longer hidden. It was their shield, their sword, their future. Admiral Reeve looked out at the wreckage drifting across the void. His eyes were cold, but behind them was a spark of hope. The war was not truly over. The galaxy would not forget, and neither would humanity. But now, for the first time in history, Earth was not prey. Earth was the hunter. And in the silence of the stars, the titans of steel drifted like gods, guardians of a species that had risen from fragility to power. Humanity had shocked the galaxy. Humanity had endured the war. And humanity would never be underestimated again.